Well, hello, and welcome back to our channel.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Tori is in her cozy era, and she's like, don't I look so cozy with her like cream colored thing, cream color sheets,
It's a
wall.
rainy day.
And then meanwhile, I'm just like, how do I get into the camera trying to look cozy? And now I just look awkward.
Guys, does this like take you back to the LA apartment days? Because we're very nostalgic for that season. Love that season.
No, hold on. I want to qualify what you just said.
What?
Tori and I talk about our LA apartment. If you don't remember that, there's a video of us saying bye to it. Like we cried saying goodbye.
Love that
we
place.
Talk about it at least every month since we left.
Yeah,
like
easy.
If we could have boxed it up and moved it, we would. Yeah, the place was so amazing. But this place has given us little apartment vibes.
We are loving it, and so we figured we'd sit down because I did share
we didn't even tell them.
I'm getting there, babes.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Shared a little reel over on Instagram that we moved to an apartment and we completely changed our renovation plans, but we wanted to like actually sit down and share the entire story with you guys. I really feel like God's teaching us so much too, so we'll share some of those little details as well. And we also want to thank Cloaked for sponsoring this video.
And actually, let's just go ahead and tell people about Cloaked now before we jump into all the juicy details.
Perfect.
But if you haven't heard about Cloaked, stick around because Cloaked is this thing that I didn't know I needed till I found out about it. Mm-hmm. You've heard me share before that I was a victim of identity theft during the whole Equifax data breach, and it seems like almost every month I get another email from I think literally last month it was like AT&T, sorry that we leaked your data out or hackers got your data. Yeah. And it just feels like every which way you turn, all our information that's online, like you and me, whether we're online shopping, we're signed up for like internet or subscriptions or whatever. Yeah. We're just at risk for hackers getting our details or people selling our data that we don't want sold, like our address, our phone number, our emails, and all the personal information about our buying habits or viewing habits. We don't want that to be happening.
They literally sell it for profit, which is just insane to me that that's even a thing.
So we have a solution to that, and it's called Cloaked, Cloaked. And like, there's a few things that I love about it. The first quick thing I'll say is that if you are a victim, or if you want to find out if you're a victim of your data being leaked, you can just do this evaluation where you put in some information and they'll find out if like, hey, if your information's on some bad websites or some bad data brokers. But there's this other thing, and I actually have a screen recording I'm going to put up here. Nowadays, it feels like you have to create an account for everywhere. Wherever you're shopping, whatever you're doing, you have to give them your email address, your phone number, your address, all these details that you're like, wait a second, what if I'm only gonna use this service once? What if I don't even know if I wanna use this service? Why do I wanna give you all this information only for it to get hacked or leaked afterwards? Well, Cloaked is the solution to that. Basically, even if you're shopping at Target, Cloaked will generate you an email address, a password, and whatever else you need to create an account without leaking your personal information.
It's like a little invisibility cloak for all of your personal data.
Yeah, if you know, you know. So anyways, we definitely recommend you guys checking that out to safeguard your family, safeguard your personal identity, especially online with internet becoming so more prevalent in how we navigate life, even to the point where Tori and I enter our apartment now with an app. Yeah. Like, what is that?
Yeah, with our phones, which is crazy. But anyways, we will link all of their information in the description below, and you can use code MASTERS to get 20% off of your subscription.
Now for the details of what did we just do?
We officially moved this past weekend. Today is like what, day three? I'm in love with this apartment. I say it like every day. I also think it's partially because the house was just so dark and compartmentalized, and we were just in this like holding pattern for so long, and we finally have answers. And I genuinely feel so much joy. I have been putting on my like Kirk Franklin gospel music in the morning.
You can't take my joy, devil.
And we've been having dance parties. I like genuinely feel like the joy of the Lord has completely taken over my body, and I have just been so happy. So, okay, backtrack. We went on the vlog that you guys saw where we went to Atlanta and Alabama. We came back. Do you want to share? Do you want me to share?
You share, and I'll just interrupt if needs some more
clarity. Okay.
To it.
So we came back from that trip and we had a meeting with our general contractor, and long story short, we had been working on this amazing plan. We had worked with an architect and everything for the house, and we were gonna do this massive like addition, but with the addition, we were gonna have to like figure out, I think we shared with you guys this whole like septic issue, and then the timeline was getting crazy and it was gonna take like a year for the whole thing to happen, and we didn't even know if it was gonna get approved. Like there was so many question marks and delays and everything else, and it just felt like the whole process was like more stressful. And then we got the actual like dollar sign for the addition.
No, it's like
and
you
the
guys
crazy
ever
thing.
you guys ever like looked up restaurants online, and it'll have like a $1 sign if it's kind of cheap, $2 signs if it's moderately kind of expensive, and $3 signs if it's like this is gonna break the bank. This was like a $5 sign thing.
It was just like we just couldn't do it. Like it was like so out of our budget. Like we thought that we had already stretched the budget, and then like it was double us like stretching the budget, like actually double our like max cap.
Well, I think what's crazy for people to even hear, and maybe you are familiar with the home building or like renovation process or bills, but so 2/3 of the cost, we could have tore down the house and built a new one.
Yeah.
For some reason, this renovation was just such a high number that we genuinely did think about just tearing the whole thing down and just starting fresh.
We're not gonna do that.
But that was still way over our budget.
And we just didn't like want to do that. No. And so long story short, we like, this all happened within like 24 hours. We were like, okay, Lord, did we just like not hear you right? Like, were we not supposed to move to this house? Like, honestly, we felt so much peace about it. Like we felt more peace even in this older home not being like us, but having the yard for the kids to run around and everything than we did in our last place. So we were like, no, like we felt so much peace over this, but are we supposed to sell it? Like, was this just like a way to get us in this area? Because we know that we're like attached to this area. We
Very
love
attached.
this area. And so literally another house popped up on the market right down the street, still on the creek, all of the things, had an awesome backyard too, was way more like livable without doing any work. And so we were like, are we supposed to just like pop on over to another house in the neighborhood? And was praying about it. I personally like didn't really feel peace about that. I was like, I feel like we're gonna get there and then just be in the same predicament because it still wasn't fully like us. And so we're having a meeting with our general contractor. We're like, okay, let's just like say we're gonna like flip the house to sell it, right? Because we knew that if we were to just sell it, we would like lose money, and we didn't want to do that. And so we were starting to talk about like, okay, well, what if we just like paint the walls and like fix this? And what if we tear out this weird wall that's just like making the entire house feel so cut off? And then we were just talking about all the little things that we could do to kind of give the house a facelift without having to go through all of the like crazy addition costs and the septic situation and everything else that we were like continually like hitting roadblocks for, and just keeping the house the way it is, but just like doing stuff.
Some updates and
just doing
much
some
needed updates.
Yeah. And then I'm sitting there having this conversation and I'm like, wait, I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Like it's literally probably 1/8 of what we were planning on doing. But I was like, I really feel like this could be really great for us. Even if it's not, like, you guys know us, we're never like forever home. Like we're very like this with homes. As you guys know, we've moved like a million times in the last couple years. But I was like, I really feel like if we were to do all of this, this could be a really great home for us for the next however long God like wants us to be here. And what is crazy is our general contractor was like, well, y'all, like, if this is all you guys want to do, we could literally start in like a week because we're finishing up another project. If y'all could get out of the house, we could literally start a week from now.
Yeah. So then basically it was like, oh, where do we go? What do we do? Is this going to happen? And so we drew everything up contractually, all the fun stuff. And right down the street, we found an apartment that we could do a short-term rental at, which is because Airbnb it was like, how do people afford to stay in Airbnbs for over a month? I don't get it. It's crazy.
Yeah. It was like 3 times the amount of
this place
of renting this apartment.
Yeah. And so we're right down the street, which is so great. And it's very, very convenient to go check in. And yeah, so literally we moved in here on a Saturday. And then that following Monday, they started demo.
Oh, and a detail that I completely spaced on like finishing or tying a bow on it was as we're having this conversation, like getting excited about like the potential of just giving the house a facelift and all of the things. We had scheduled a tour of that house in the same neighborhood and it had been on the market for 20 days, all of the things. I had literally texted Milena that morning because I was like, okay, we're not really sharing this, but can you just pray for like an open door or closed door or clarity on what we're supposed to do in regards to the home reno? So just like very specifically, like open it or shut it, God. And like an hour before we were going to see the other house, they accepted an offer, like on another offer. Like they didn't even want us to come see the house. And so we were like, okay, praise God that was like off the table completely. God's like, no, that's not what I want you guys to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was bummed because it was something that would be easier for us to live in and if we were going to choose to be in a place.
Yeah.
But the answered prayer of it being clearly closed and there's no confusion there it was awesome.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of like, I was nervous about, okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I hope you don't mind me sounding like a diva for a minute, but some of the things that I'm struggling with the house that we just got out of that can't wait to get back into is just like, I don't do well when things don't work. Like if you can't open windows or the doors don't really lock or it's just stuff like that. Like I just want to start fixing things. I think as guys do, but then when you start unpacking stuff is then you find out, oh, like this is a weird, quick little tidbit. It has a cast iron plumbing, which I guess is incredibly dated and it starts to break. And so our sinks weren't draining, nor is our shower. And so when I hired a plumber to come help us, he's like, you guys need to replace this because if I do what I need to do, it's going to break your plumbing. And I'm like, man, like, so all in all, it just was one of those things where Tori and I are not afraid to sit on our haunches and say, hey, haunches, that's the 3rd good word in 3 days.
He's like pulling out all of these random
Where
words
are they
lately.
coming from? Like consternation, haunches. What was the 3rd word? The first one. We'll think of it. But it felt great. I don't know where these words are coming from, but they're there. They're somewhere packed in a file cabinet.
Yeah.
But it was like, can we go live there for 2 to 3 years? Yeah. Oh, but this house is becoming difficult to live in without updating some of those things.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It definitely was a very interesting, to be honest, trying season, especially because it was right after Noah was born. We still weren't sleeping. I didn't feel like nested, which is always difficult for me, like couldn't decorate. And now in this apartment, I think because it's obviously just like a smaller space than we've been in for the last couple of years, it's just been easy to like put a couple things. And I'm like, we're literally sitting on a bed on the floor right now and I feel cozier and better than I did in the house. And I'm just like genuinely feeling like God just pivoted us. And again, like we're doing, I said an eighth, honestly, it probably is an eighth of what we were going to do before. And it's like also an eighth of the price. Praise God.
I'm going to write a Sunday send this coming Sunday. So if you're not subscribed to our weekly newsletter, it comes out on Sundays. Click up here it'll be in the description to sign up. But I'm going to talk about how sometimes whenever we feel led by God or we feel like if there's like a prompting or a calling, we think it's this like linear line, like this way.
Yeah.
But what Tori and I, or at least I'll speak for me, and you can say if you agree, I feel like it's been giving this switchback feeling where if you've ever went on a hike, like up a mountain, you go on these trails that are like a switchback where you go this way, this way, this way, this way, and you start going up. But it can feel like you're not going the right direction.
Yeah.
But you're moving closer to your goal, but there's just a bunch of like little pivots that maybe are self-inflicted, or maybe they're just fun little detours or coincidences where God's like, hey, no, like we're going to do something in addition to that. I'm going to do more.
Well, also, I just like go back and I think about like all the things that have happened since we moved in May, and even like our new contractor and working with him, like that was not on the table a couple of months ago. And I just feel like it had to happen the way it's happening now.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously in our heads, we wish this would have happened back in May, right? But like, I think had it happened in May, we still would have had like this big vision. And what if we did like all of that? But now it's like, I don't know how to say it, but like, even in this apartment season, like for me, I'm like, we don't need everything we think we need to feel contentment and joy. And we are going to be doing this massive addition because we love hosting and we love feeling like hospitable. And I even feel like we have our friend Kelly coming next week and we don't have a guest room here and she's going to sleep on the couch. And I honestly feel like God's like, you don't need everything you think you need to be hospitable and make people feel welcome and seen and all of that. Like, I think that in our heads, we're like, well, we want to create this insanely beautiful experience for them. And God's like, your presence is more important. Like, we always talk about his presence in our life is more important than the presents he gives us, right? The gifts that he gives us. And I think sometimes we can attach like, oh, but God, I'm trying to be more hospitable, so I need X, Y, and Z. And he's like, no, you don't need X, Y, and Z to be hospitable. And so I think that he's like teaching me that lesson, at least inside of that.
So there's this video I want to play for you guys. We'll play it right here.
This is probably one of the heaviest hammer blows, I think, for today, this next one. You've already achieved goals you said would make you happy. You've already achieved goals you said would make you happy.
And I think there's just this thing that we're experiencing and learning where it's so easy to get caught in the rat race, the hamster wheel, where you just like this next thing, this next thing. There's always another thing. And I do think that our hearts will experience discontentment this side of heaven until we are in his perfection. Yeah. But I also think that we don't have to subscribe and have to pursue and achieve all those things, the next thing. I think it's just recognizing that, because our hearts feel like there's a lack, we're gonna try to fix the lack. We're gonna try to, feel something, get something, achieve something. Yeah. And instead of that, we need to remember where true contentment comes from, which is it's a vertical contentment, not a horizontal contentment. But yeah, I saw that video and it was just like, wow. And if you can take that video into other territories as well, it's like
everyone.
You already have the things that you said would make you happy.
Yeah. And we talk about all the time. It's like, how many answered prayers are you currently living in? Yeah. And are you always wishing for the next thing? And so you're always discontent? Or are you finding contentment in the process, in the journey? Because that's literally life. It's the journey. And so we're going to miss out on everything God has for us if we're constantly just wishing away the season that we're in instead of leaning in and lingering in the season and actually looking and praying for eyes to see what he's doing in each one. So anyways, that is the story. We love you guys. Make sure to keep your family and your personal information safe with Cloaked. We'll have that link below. You can use code MASTERS for 20% off your subscription. And you can also assess your risk level for free. That'll be in the description below as well. We love you guys.
Love you.
Anything else?
No, I think that's good.
Great. We'll see y'all in the next video. And we'll be giving you a tour of the apartment and some big demo updates. So make sure you're subscribed and your notification bell is on. Love you guys. Bye.